Studying abroad is not just about academia, jobs, and careers, but much more, like being independent, personality development, making friends globally, learning about different cultures, traveling, and many more enriching, unforgettable experiences. Hook on to our episodes of Student Spotlight and get fruitful insights about our students who share their beautiful journeys with you. In today's episode, we have Manan from Bangalore, who is in his first year studying BSc Economics at King's College London. Hear us talk about the challenges of transition from CBSE to UK curriculum and how the internship process works for undergrads in the UK. Let's chat with Manan and know about his story.
Hi everyone, I'm Manan. I'm a first year economics student at King's College London. So I'm from Bangalore, like you said, and so in 10th and 12th, I did science. I have a science background with economics, physics, chemistry, maths, economics kind of stuff. In 10th, I scored about a 96%. It was a COVID year. And in 12th, I did about 93%. First offline exams after COVID. But yeah, it's been about 10 months that I've been in London. Loving it. King's is nice. London is nice.
Okay. So tell me about, which board did you say you do?
I did the Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE.
Okay, right. So what were your main subjects in your 12th?
So in my 12th, I had physics, chemistry, maths, economics, and English.
Okay, right. And how much did you score?
Individually?
Yeah.
So
if you remember.
So I remember economics and English, I did a 97.
Okay, nice. So they were your main power subjects?
Main power subjects, yes.
Okay.
Maths, physics, and chem were all around the 90, 92 range.
Okay.
Yes.
Right,
yeah.
right, nice.
Yeah.
So when you applied for your UK undergrad, what all universities did you apply to?
So in the UK, I applied to Oxford, LSE, UCL, Warwick, and King's College London.
Okay,
yes.
Nice.
For Oxford, I had to write a extra exam, the TSA, Thinking Skills Assessment exam as well. So I did score the interview cutoff, but unfortunately, I did not get the interview.
Okay.
Yeah, that year, as much as I know, only 2 people from India got the Oxford interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Okay, and how about other universities? Which all universities did give you offers?
So I got an offer only from Warwick and King's College London.
Okay.
I met my condition on both the universities, but I finally chose to come.
King's, right? So how is your experience at King's, especially year 1, right? So I'm sure there is a transition. CBSE is more academic, and when you come to UK, it's more sort of practical, and you have assignments, courseworks. Do you see that transition?
Yes, huge transition, especially when there are essay-based projects and your coursework is based on essays and you're reading these papers and your real-time research you're doing so that you can mention on your papers. Whereas in CBSE, all I had to do was, there was a textbook, pre-described syllabus. You read that, mug that, vomit that, you're done. You get your 90.
Right.
Now it's tough to get even a first class, which is like a 70 plus at King's, because you need to be aware of not only what's happened in the past, but what's happening, and then do an analysis of all of this right when you've entered university.
Right.
But I think professors are very helpful.
Okay.
Seniors are very helpful, so reaching out to them and taking their guidance has been very helpful for me.
Do you think it would have been slightly easier if you would have done IB and then got here?
Maybe so, because I know I've seen a lot of people who've done either IB or A-levels, that kind of stuff, who find it a lot easier because they've done essays.
Yeah.
But I see equal number of people also struggle with it because they thought that they're ready for it.
Right.
So they didn't put in enough effort and then they didn't get what they wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Nice. So how's your course been so far with, your economics? What are the main subjects and, what kind of efforts you have to put in?
So every semester I have 4 modules, and I'm very thankful that this year all my modules were compulsory.
Okay.
I had no options to take, but this was helpful in the way that one module was for history. So I learned about the history of economics. One was on key principles, so foundations of economics, Karl Marx, Marxist theory, Communist Manifesto, Adam Smith, that kind of things. And 2 were mathematical modules. This, I think, prepares me for second year, because then I can choose the modules based on what I enjoyed this year. Apart from that, I think it's very practical. That is one thing I found very different to India, because here I can challenge the professor in class saying, no, I don't think that's right, explain this to me this way. And he will actually take you up on it and explain it to you that way. So I've been finding that very interesting doing economics.
That's nice. What got you choosing economics as, your dream degree, which you're doing?
So very interestingly, my mom is an econ grad and my dad's an engineer. He went on to do his MBA, mom did a master's in HR. And both are consultants now.
Okay.
Heavy focus on investment side of things, human resources, remuneration, things like that. So I've been exposed to investments, investment banking, consulting from a very young age.
Right.
And when I searched up what's the best way of getting into it, I found, well, economics degree is one of the top ways. But apart from that, I think economics as a subject is what I enjoyed the most during my last 5 years of studies as well. And I think that is why economics is what I chose finally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. How do you manage your time? What's your routine like every day like?
So I'm a early riser kind of guy because I like getting out early. So at about 8:30, 9ish, I'm out to the university. I sit there for the rest of the day till about 8:30, 9 in the night because I have some friends coming over. But I have typically 2 to 3 hours of class a day. Apart from that, I apply to a lot of jobs for spring internships. So I love that in UK. Before coming here, my seniors told me, you need to apply for this because September applications will open. So I apply for jobs, investment banking, consulting jobs. Apart from that, you get interviews. So you need to do those interviews. Then I've taken up a job on King's campus as well. So once or twice a month, I have that job. I also won the elections at the KCLSU for first year student rep.
Nice.
So I have these student staff meetings where I bring up issues with my course, issues students are facing, things like that. So that takes up a lot of time.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. With the SU, it's very different. I'm interacting with my college staff, my professors, and telling them, okay, this module has this issue. We as students want this changed. Help us with it. And they are very helpful in terms of whatever they can do, they do. So very different experiences, but loving it all till now.
Okay, nice. So where do you live? Like student accommodation?
I live in a King student accommodation.
Okay.
It's right on Waterloo Bridge,
Okay.
next to the station. So that's very convenient this year.
Right.
It's a first year accommodation only. But I would say accommodation in London is a very tricky aspect because you would want to research well and then sort out accommodation on an earlier notice. Everything runs out so quickly.
Right. How much do you spend on accommodation and your, monthly expenses otherwise?
So my accommodation costs 215 a week. So that's about 975 pounds a month. And apart from that, I spend about 300 pounds a month on everything. Travel, groceries, everything else.
Do you cook?
I cook a little bit, but I also go out a lot.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Apart from that, I go out clubbing, partying, everything included. 300 is cap.
This is a good budget
Yes.
to be within. That's nice. Tell me about your future plans. What are you planning in? Like, you can tell me if you have, like you mentioned, you've got some internships.
Yes, sir.
And then what I know is that after internships, you convert that to a summer internship.
Yes.
Then
And then a
goes-
full-time offer, yeah.
Can throw some light.
So I came in with the notion that I want to do investment banking or consulting. Like those are the two focus areas that I'm focusing on. But so typically in London, how it goes is that you have spring internships during the month of April, which can range anywhere between 1 day to 2 weeks. So you go in and learn about their different business units, things like that. On the last day, they fast track you to the final stage interview for summer offers. If you are able to crack that, they give you a summer for the next year, which is about 8 to 10 weeks, which is a paid work experience essentially. And then again, at the end of that, they have an exit interview where they decide whether they're going to give you an offer for the third year or not. It's a very structured way of doing things, and I like it. But it was also very competitive, especially with the job market this year. Mm-hmm. For example, JP Morgan received about 5,000 applications for 100 seats.
Wow. So these are 100 internships.
100 internships.
Spring internships for 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Or is
So this was the summer number.
interns.
So 100 spots, 5,000
Big
applications.
number. Right. Maths don't add up.
Yeah.
How is the assessments usually like?
So every firm has a different assessment, but typically what you have is first you submit your CV and cover letter. After initial screening, they send you a test. If you are able to do that test well, you reach a cutoff. Sometimes it's if you've done better than the others, they send you to a higher view interview where it's a pre-recorded interview type question. If you clear that, then you go to a telephonic interview where they ask you a typical HR type style questions. And the final interview some firms like to do is the one with the analyst or associate at the firm. where they ask you technicals if it's a very technical role. And then finally you get an offer or rejection for springs and summer.
Wow, so it's even for springs and summers, it's the whole
it's the whole
lengthy
stretch.
process.
Summer is a little more, it strains you a lot more because every firm has this. For spring, only a few firms have such a varied process. Some only have a CV and cover letter though. So,
okay. Yeah. So for, especially when you're aiming at investment banks, do they have some cycles and deadlines for final year placements?
So I'm not aware of the final year placements, but what I am aware is that every job fills 1 year in advance.
Okay.
So if you're looking at a role for June 2025, your cycle starts in September, June to September time, and they will end in December.
Okay.
So you need to be
pre-planned and
you
should be able to apply. Oh, great. So with Kings, one thing I want to ask you, what differently did you do to crack through Kings? As you know, it's one of the top institutes in the world. A lot of students aspire coming to Kings, but I'm sure you did something special to get in.
Honestly speaking, I don't know what worked and what didn't, but I think in terms of Kings and UK universities, they're extremely academic focused. So in my 11th, 12th, I wrote a research paper that got published in the International Journal. And I think that played a huge factor because that showed that I'm actually passionate about economics. And for anybody who wants to apply, I think the biggest advice I could give is that show the universities that you're passionate and you're doing stuff towards that subject. So for example, I founded an economics and finance club in my school that educated students about financial literacy. Then I wrote the research paper. I got published in a couple of Indian Institute of Management journals. And I think that shows these universities that not only am I proactive, but also passionate about it. And I think that's what helped me crack King's and Warwick and other universities.
So what was your publication about?
So the one that I wrote about in the International Journal of Economic Sciences is about financial literacy and how it's the need of the hour in countries like India and UK, because school-going students are not even aware of basic things like investment, savings, S&P 500. And my paper recorded this by a qualitative and quantitative survey.
Okay, nice.
Yes.
So how was your statement of purpose structured? What all did you put in?
So I very vaguely remember it, but I started off by saying economics is the base of everything in this world. Be it a business, be it a social enterprise, nothing can run without economics. And then I tried factoring in a couple of books that I've read, Why Nations Fail, and things like that, because UK is extremely academic in nature. At least universities. So I tried to show that I'm well-read. So I mentioned a couple of books that I've read, my learnings from it. And then I said how those books inspired me to write these research papers and these articles and start a blog and all of that. I tied it that way, and then I ended by saying university would be the right place for me to take this passion to the next level by learning in deep and from the foundations up what economics is and how I can contribute to the field later on.
Okay. And did you mention about any extracurricular activities?
So yes, I did mention not a lot in the UK. I mentioned a lot more in the US.
Okay.
But in the UK, I mentioned just two. One was the International Olympiad. So I got 3 gold medals in math, science, and English. I mentioned that. And the other one that I mentioned was that I was a part of the second line of defense in India, Army.
Oh, nice.
So I mentioned about that aspect of things that taught me discipline. And I think universities like to see that, but also that's something very true for me, that the Indian Army taught me discipline. And how I'm going to apply that discipline to my everyday life is what I mentioned.
Okay. Can you tell us more about the Indian Army thing? When did you join it?
So,
what program?
Sure. It was the National Cadet Corps, and it's a 2-year program. I did the A certificate. So it's from 8th and 9th grade, where essentially you're given training every week. Army officers come in, train you on ammunition, parade drills, gauging distances, reading maps, all of that. They teach you about radio frequencies that the Army uses, things like that. Then you spend 10 to 15 days on a camp. I did one on the Air Force base camp, where you spend time with officers and you actually fire ammunition. You visit areas that only security clearance people can, because you're entering the actual Army stations, you're firing live guns, things like that. And then you finally give an exam where they test you on not only your theory about, everything from national anthem to when was the NCC founded to what's a core and what's different sizes of cadets called, things like that, to actually fire the gun and give me the right ammunition, bearing, things like that, to gauge this distance and tell me how far that tree is by standing here. All of that is tested, and we are called the second line of defense because in times of emergency, NCC is what would be called to serve as well.
Correct. And how long was this? Like,
so
how many days?
The camp was for 10 days. The whole program is for 2 years, so you're trained for 2 years.
Okay.
And at the end of 2 years, you give this exam.
Okay. Nice.
Yes.
So I'm sure that helped.
That helped a lot, I think.
And makes you more disciplined, more sort of confident as well.
Yes, so.
Okay, great. If you were to give some advices to our students who are applying to UK universities, like you've cracked into King's, what would you give them?
I think this is cliche advice, but still, be yourself. Like, be true to who you are. I honestly think that the universities do know something that we don't in terms of if you will be a right fit for them or not. So be yourself. Do what you actually want to do in terms of your course. I know it might be tough to have that conversation with parents or society that, no, I don't want to do, say, engineering, I want to do economics. Have that conversation early on. It will help you out because then you will actually do what you're passionate about and what you're actually good at. And finally, I think you really have to be on it. It's very competitive. It's hyper competitive. I got to know my course this year had an acceptance rate of 3.3%.
Okay.
Economics at King's. So I was like, wow, right? It is hyper competitive. So you have to be the best of the best. So be on it from an early on time. So if you know you want to study outside, I know people who were on it from 6th grade, 8th grade. I started very late. I started in 11th when I said, okay, maybe I want to apply abroad. So be on it. And I think that's the best advice I can give you.
Okay, yeah. That's nice. So if you were to go back in time and change something, would you want to, like, your whole journey you've had, say you want to go back a year behind, would you still make the same choices you've made with the university, with the course, with the country?
Course, 100%. University in this country, absolutely. But if I were to change something fundamental, it would be that maybe I wouldn't have given my time to preparing for other competitive exams.
Right.
So I wrote the JEE exam in India and I cleared it. But that took about 6 hours every single day of preparation for the last 2 years.
Right.
And that took a lot of my time from my applications.
Right.
So I think very early on, if I had decided that I want to study outside and really narrowed down on, say, UK and the US or certain countries and certain universities, I think I could have, I'm not saying King's isn't an amazing university, I'm very lucky to be here, but I could have cracked, say, an Ivy League in the US because I got interviewed by a few. So I think early on, if I would have gotten maybe a little right guidance as well from people who are involved in this industry, I think it would have helped me for that next stage. Yeah.
What made you choose UK over US?
One was the offers, the universities. I got waitlisted at University of Michigan and I got interviewed at Princeton and Harvard and then deferred and then rejected finally. So the only offers at that point were Purdue and University of Michigan. I said no because I didn't want to wait. And in the UK, then I had King's and Warwick. In Canada, I had University of Toronto and University of British Columbia. And in Singapore, I had SMU. After everything, I felt King's was the best choice for economics and best choice for me as well because it's a 3-year course. And London is the financial capital of the world. So if I want to do finance, this is the place you have to be. So that's what played into my choice making.
Great. Nice. So if you were to define your journey in one word or one sentence, your study abroad so far, what would that be?
Scary but exciting.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Were you nervous in the first phase?
I was a little nervous. I'm always ready to take on a new experience, but this was, I told my parents, you're not coming with me. So I was moving countries, continents myself to a new place that I had never been. So I've never been to London, UK before this, to a university that I've never visited, with people that I've never met. So I was scared at first. But once I landed here and once the first week of Welcome Week happened and I started going to classes, I was in love. So I think I'm very excited for what's to come. I am a little scared and nervous as well, but I am more so excited about what the future holds for me.
All right, wonderful. I wish you all the best and thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us for this episode of TSS. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure of sharing it with other students and leave us a comment. Your feedback helps us continue to provide valuable content to students everywhere. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world around you. Thank you.